Good afternoon, faculty, students, and members of Ashland Community Technical College. Today is Friday, October 22nd, and today we're going to be discussing sports, mental and physical health for Hispanics in the United States. The objective for today's session is to analyze the mental and physical health for Hispanics, to recognize the most popular sports and best athletes in the Latino world. We are really happy to be contributors to learning and to be a bridge or to be a hinge between different cultures, the American culture and the Hispanic culture. After watching these two videos, we hope that you have enjoyed them as much as we enjoy making them. You can make a connection with Mr. Kevin Harrison, Senior Fellow of Cultural Diversity at ACTC, Ashland Community and Technical College. For any suggestion, any question, or any recommendation, we really appreciate your feedback. Also, we would like to invite you to be part of our closure ceremony in which we're going to be also celebrating the Day of the Dead. This celebration is going to be taking place coming Wednesday, October the 27th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. We're going to have a lot of celebrations, festivities, performances, and we're going to enjoy the Mexican cuisine. We're going to dance salsa, flamenco, bachata, merengue, bomba. We have a lot of demonstrations, and also we're going to have piñatas. We're going to have a lot of fun. Music, food, and a lot of fun will be part of our beautiful celebration that day. So we are really happy to see you in that celebration coming Wednesday. Have a wonderful afternoon, and see you then in our closing ceremony.
Buenas tardes. Bienvenidos a nuestro quinto encuentro de la celebración del mes de la herencia hispana. Hoy los anfitriones del programa nos mostrarán la importancia de las relaciones sociales, interpersonales y profesionales en el manejo de los pacientes de la comunidad hispana, junto con sus hábitos y costumbres de autocuidado y buena salud. Los participantes tendrán la oportunidad de reconocer y entender los diferentes acercamientos en el campo de la medicina con pacientes hispanos. Invitamos a todos los estudiantes del área de la medicina y afines a poner en práctica todas las recomendaciones y manejos dados en esta sesión con el tratamiento de los pacientes hispanos. Bienvenidos.
Hi, I'm Cindy Fritz. I am an ACTC student here. I found a lot out about ACTC whenever I went to go get my GED. I met a young lady, Krisha Spears, and she encouraged me to come out and apply for ACTC. So after I got my GED, I was able to do so. This is my second semester in the LPN program. We have a bunch of wonderful instructors here. Everybody at ACTC wants to see you succeed. I am a non-traditional student. I was out of school 30 years before I decided to come back to school, and this is definitely the place to come.
I'd like to welcome everybody to today's presentation on enhancing mental and physical health for Hispanic and Latino community. I'm your host and cultural broker, Abby Leeper from Paul G. Blazer High School.
Hi Abby, I'm your host and cultural broker, Jocelyn Bryant from Paul G. Blazer High School. And today we will also talk about the most played sports in the Mundo Latino and their most prominent athletes. So let's get started.
In this session, we will cover a lot of ground. We're going to review the ecological framework and apply to the culturally responsive counseling. We will learn about nuances in communication with people who are Hispanic or Latino. We will review cultural beliefs which may impact treatment or help for illness. We will also briefly explore some cultural balance syndromes, identify psychosocial risk, and protective factors to target the Hispanic and Latino population. As a multicultural and multilingual broker, I always start off my presentations by saying that this is a broad overgeneralized knowledge that may adhere to or embrace the Hispanic community in general terms. Some principles may change, but the most important aspect is that these generalizations can guide you in questions to ask and things to be aware of when you are working with this community. The ecological system framework provides a structure for understanding the importance of cultural adaptation and social work and counseling practice, especially from the people who work in the healthcare system, such as doctors, therapists, and nurses. On the macro level of this framework, we are talking about how cultural frames the norms, values, and behaviors that operate on every other level. It is important for people who work in the medical field to explore social media, television, and literature about the Hispanic population. The micro level represents the individual beliefs and behaviors, and that's where it is important to differentiate with your Hispanic or Latino patient how much traditional Hispanic or American culture they embrace. The meso level represents family customs, traditions, and communication patterns. And finally, the exo level is how the individual perceives and interacts with larger structures such as school, work sites, society, and local communities. All of these levels can guide the medical field professions to determine the effective social and professional approaches to assist a patient from the Hispanic community. It is important to recognize that the individual influences those in the immediate area of interaction.
Communication. Among Hispanics, they share a series of verbal and nonverbal cues that denote respect, recognition, and trustworthiness. Hispanic population emphasizes that the first moment of interaction with people determines a good rapport or effective communication of their needs, opinions, or ideas. Especially with older people, the formality and respect of the communication is fundamental to establish a base of good dialogue. We strongly recommend that people who work in the medical field address older people with their last name. Eye contact is appropriate in certain cases, but staring is considered impolite and intimidating. It's important to remember that as a clinician, you are in this interesting paradigm where you may be younger than the patient. However, you have a position of authority for your knowledge and professionalism. In most of the cases, Hispanic patients show some deference and respect to you because it's your position. It's uncommon for Hispanic people to be aggressive or assertive in healthcare interactions. They usually respond in silence or noncompliance, just like other cultures, such as Asians. When assisting or having healthcare interactions with Hispanics, try to use open-ended questions, not yes or no questions, as it is common within the American culture. Hispanics believe in a fruitful and rich conversation with their doctors and medical field personnel. This pattern of communication allows a better understanding of the benefits and drawbacks of treatment, and it also motivates the patient to follow the clinician's counsels. When working with the Hispanic population, we must build rapport with them. It's important to start saying hi, these are my credentials, sit down and start asking yes/no questions. You have to invite someone in you. You need to help them and get comfortable, and you also have to make limited eye contact. Ask them how their day is going and some other pleasantries. Try to build a polite and courteous rapport with recognition and appreciation. You, as their physician, need to communicate trustworthiness as well as understand that desire to be in their shoes and hope to help them in their treatment. Hispanics expect healthcare professionals to be warm and personnel and express a strong need to be treated with dignity. If Spanish is their primary language, it's highly recommended to try to make an effort to communicate with them in Spanish to some degree. This does not mean you have to hold the whole session in Spanish if you're not bilingual. When somebody speaks their language, the message does not go to their mind. The message goes to their heart. It's advisable to try to avoid gesturing too much because many gestures may have adverse connotations. It's important to be aware of what types of gestures may be considered offensive. Hispanics and Latinos are not a race. Hispanos and Latinos are an ethnicity rather than a race. In the United States, we find 5 larger groups: Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, Cubans, Central Americans, and South Americans. Each of these cultural groups have their own unique beliefs, practices, and perspectives. Healthcare professionals should not assume that anyone who is Hispanic fits into this little mold, just like anybody who is an American. It's vital to respect that every culture has its own country pride, and in their history, we need to recognize their origins and cultural background. 90% of Hispanics place great importance in the practice of Roman Catholicism. Central tenets of Catholicism are sacrifice, charity, and forgiveness. We need to remember this when we are working with them in terms of mental health. Probably, they are also sharing with their priest their mental or physical health, which may hinder the boldness of the treatment. But this could also be a great source of strength and recovery sacrifice. Hispanic Catholics' beliefs may include candles with pictures of saints, but with the new advent of religions and Protestant churches, it's important to not think that all Hispanics are Catholics. You might want to ask them because some religions do not accept certain scientific practices. The Jehovah's Witnesses do not accept blood transfusions, so the healthcare professionals must be aware of this in case they need to proceed with the treatment. At this moment, we have some people that uphold their religious beliefs to avoid COVID vaccinations.
La Familia in the Hispanic community provides a sense of strength, security, and structure, and it actually enhances mental health. La Familia is the collective identity that serves as a buffer against external stresses in the environment because they know they got each other, they rely on each other, and they've got emotional as well as practical support. So it is important that the Hispanic patient attends the doctor's appointments with their immediate family member. Do not feel surprised if one of your patients come to your session with one or more family members. Doctor's visit. American healthcare providers are dealing with patients from different cultures and latitudes. They should ask their Hispanic patients what causes the health problems and what needs to be done to remedy them. Health professionals need to be aware that some Hispanics are less likely to use medical alternatives and prefer to use home remedies. There are some reasons Hispanics do not visit the doctor, such as legal documentation, which is the immigration status, lack of health care plan, expensive and recurrent bills, financial constraints, and not available Spanish-speaking service providers, feeling of unwelcoming in the clinics, and discrimination, prejudice, and racial bias. Alcohol and drug abuse. For Hispanics, drinking alcohol is often a part of social occasions and celebrations, and solitary drinking is discouraged. Hispanics believe that those who abuse substances or alcohol cause their whole family to suffer. Paradoxically, driving under the influence of alcohol is one of the most serious problems in the Hispanic population. Cultural brown syndromes. Local ways of explaining any of a wide assortment of misfortunes. Hispanic populations tend to suffer from nerviosismo. Nerviosismo is a sickness of the nerves, and it is commonly treated medically or spiritually. Susto is fright resulting in soul loss and may be acute or chronic and includes a variety of vague complaints. Susto is more common in women than in men. Yerbetero or herbalist is someone who may have some remedies to help them cope with whatever psychological or physiological symptoms. Sobandero is a massage therapist who provides massages with cream for joint relief. Partera is the midwife who helps women have children and take care of them. Curandero is someone who heals physical and spiritual imbalance.
Common Hispanic health issues. For Hispanics, the top 5 are cancer, heart disease, unintentional injuries, stroke, and diabetes. The CDC looked at subgroups within the Latino community and found that different groups have a variety of degrees in health risk. Caring for yourself. Because of genetics and environment, each unique ethnic group in all the United States at an increased risk for developing certain conditions. It's important to recognize your risks so you can seek proper diagnosis and treatment. Several health issues are more prevalent in the Hispanic people than in the general population. Obesity. Hispanic Americans are 1.2 times as likely to be obese than non-Hispanic whites. This is especially important because obesity can lead to other health challenges. Diabetes. About 40% of adults in the United States are expected to develop type 2 diabetes in their lifetime. However, more than 50% of Hispanics are expected to someday be diagnosed with it. Hypertension, also known as high blood pressure. Nearly 1 in 4 Hispanics have high blood pressure, which can be a precursor to a heart attack, stroke, kidney disease, or heart failure. Chronic kidney disease. Hispanics are 1.5 more likely to have kidney failure compared to other Americans. In fact, 20% of people on the kidney transplant waiting list are Hispanics. Chronic liver disease. Hispanics are at a higher risk for developing certain liver diseases. Although the exact cause is unknown, it can be a result of conditions such as chronic alcoholism, obesity, and exposure to hepatitis B and C viruses. Cancer. Overall, cancer rates among Hispanics are generally lower. However, those who were born outside of the U.S. are at a higher risk for specific cancers related to such as infections of the stomach, liver, or cervical cancer.
To wrap up this chapter, it is important that the healthcare provider motivates the Hispanic patients, provides trustworthy feedback and support. It is also recommended to learn about each family member and their cultural background, history of the relative's illness, coping strategies, goals and expectations of treatment. Thanks for watching us, and see you next time in the closing celebration on Friday, October 15th, 2021. Hasta pronto!
I would like to invite you to take part in this session. This session is about sports and health. In this session, the participants will identify and consider the Hispanic healthcare views regarding their eating habits and the practice of sports and exercise to be healthy. Also, the medical field students at ACTC will dissect the social, physiological, and physical treatment and approach when assisting the Hispanic community patients. Thank you for your participation in this activity. Till next time.
La importancia de los deportes en el mundo hispano. Sport improves social and cultural life because it brings people and communities to get closer and enjoy their practice together. Sports can help overcome differences and foster dialogue, thus helping to break down prejudices, stereotypes, cultural differences, ignorance, intolerance, and discrimination. The most practiced sports by Hispanic population are soccer, baseball, basketball, tennis, volleyball, cycling, bicicross, boxing, swimming, diving, athletics, rugby, motorsport, and skating.
Of football or soccer. The most popular sport is soccer, and it is represented by the South American Soccer Confederation. The most important tournament at the national level is the Copa America, while at the club level it is the Copa Libertadores de America. The FIFA World Cup is the most important event in the world with more than 3.6 billion spectators.
The Spanish are desperate to hear the final whistle. There it is! Spain are world champions 2010. Desolation for the Dutch, an absolute ecstasy for the Spanish. The final score was Netherlands 0, Spain 1.
From your heart. Woo! Vamos, vamos united.
Claro, nosotros como rutina llegamos acá 4 horas antes.
As a routine, we get here 4 hours before the match starts. We enjoy ourselves, we socialize with all the other members, and we come together as a family.
Y luego 40 minutos antes.
Then, 40 minutes before the game begins, we get our drums and our flags, and we march together into the stands, where we do our main job, support the team.
Vamos a tomar la parte principal, que es apoyar al equipo.
We have South American and Central American roots, and that's kind of the base of our culture in terms of the songs that we sing, the chants that we do, and the family atmosphere that we have. A lot of the other groups are more European or English based, and we're a little different in that respect. We're a little more disorganized, but we're a little wilder, a little crazier, a little more passionate. Last count, we are about 1,600 paid members, and we probably have people from about 40 different nationalities.
Siempre me ha gustado el fútbol, he participado en la barra en Bolivia.
I've always liked football, and I was part of a barra in Bolivia. I created a supporters group here with the traditional name they have in South America, the Barra Brava as the 12th man, in order to teach American fans about football culture.
Era sobre todo para enseñarle la cultura del fútbol a la afición americana. La afición americana ahorita.
You will hear American fans chant in Spanish and in English. You will hear Hispanic fans chant in English and in Spanish. And lastly, those who don't speak the language just jump. That's the only thing we ask of them.
I don't think Spanish versus English matters to the players, maybe except for those players from South America or Central America, but I think the passion that we bring and the energy that we bring to the stadium does make a big difference to the players. One of the things I love about the Barra is that, especially coming from DC, where kind of political affiliation and status means so much, in the Barra no one cares. It doesn't matter if you're from Bolivia, if you're from Mexico, or you're from the United States, or from Eastern Europe. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican, or how much you make, or what you do for a living. It's just all about the passion of the game. And so we, I think, are really embody what the America is all about, and it's a melting of cultures, and it's everyone coming together, making a contribution, and the whole is greater than the sum of the parts.
Baloncesto, the first national basketball organization in South America, was born in Montevideo, Uruguay in March 1915 with the same name of Union of Basketball Societies.
Oh, baseball. Baseball began in Latin America and Cuba when they formed the Havana Baseball Club in 1868. But the game was prohibited by the Spanish rulers, and it was not until 1874 that the first documented game was recorded on the island, according to the newspaper The Artist.
Latinos are changing the game. How? Let's find out. This is Top 9. Number 1. The game's newest and most exciting faces are Latinos. You've heard us talk about Luis Robert, Juan Soto, Fernando Tatis Jr., etc., but that's because they're killing it right now. Robert has helped power the White Sox into October as a rookie, Soto has continued the hot start to his career, and Tatis, well, he's already looking to win MVP awards. Number 2. You can't miss who the Latinos are on a team. These guys play with unreal swagger, making difficult plays look like child's play. Their pasión is through the roof, never shying away from celebrating a big moment, and they simply just love to have fun. Number 3. Let's talk Latin walk-up music. 21 different players are bumping Bad Bunny as they head to the plate this year, and a close second choice is El Alfa. But Latinos aren't the only ones jamming out. Joey Votto paid his respects to the late Selena, La Reina del Tex-Mex, by changing his walk-up song to Como la Flor during the Reds' visit to Monterrey for the Mexico series. Brian Dozier was responsible for making Pedro Capó's Calma the Nationals' 2019 World Series anthem. And Pedro took notice, even paying them a little good luck visit in DC. Number 4. Do you remember this? What about this?
Ground ball, right side. Cabrera will cut it off. Galarraga covers. He's out. No, he's safe.
Both are legendary moments in baseball where Latinos changed the game forever. Armando Galarraga's almost perfect game in 2010 led to the eventual expansion of video review in MLB, and Jose Bautista's 2015 bat flip heard around the world paved the way for the new generation to play the game their way. Number 5. Speaking of leyendas, there are some no doubt future Latino Hall of Famers playing right now. Miguel Cabrera and Albert Pujols have had unreal careers and are breaking milestones left and right. And some other veteran Latinos like Yadier Molina and Robinson Cano could be well on their way to Cooperstown too. Time will tell. But these players' lasting legacies have set the bar for the future generation of Latino superstars. Number 6. Llegaron los Juniors. Vladimir Guerrero and Fernando Tatis are part of the new wave of second-generation players continuing their father's legacies. Just like his dad, Vladdy Jr. started his career with the Canadian team. He even wore his dad's old Expos jerseys during his first press conference. As for Tatis, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Fernando Sr. once hit 2 Grand Slams in the same inning, and Fernando Jr. is bringing that same energy to Grand Slam Diego. Number 7. 3 teams in the AL Central can nearly resemble World Baseball Classic squads on any given day. We're looking at you, Sox. Their usual lineup features up to 7 Latinos, and 4 of them are Cubanos. And not to be outshined, the Indians and Twins are both fueled by Dominican and Venezuelan talent. Number 8. Did someone say nachos? Latin-inspired dishes are taking over the concession stands. We're talking elote nuggets at guaranteed rate, churro dogs at Chase Field, Cuban sandwiches at Marlins Park, and of course, all kinds of tacos at just about every ballpark. Number 9. This opening day, 252 Latinos from 9 different countries made Major League rosters. The Dominican Republic led the way with 109 players, while Mauricio Dubon became the first player raised in Honduras to get the call. And in total, Latinos make up close to 30% of the league. So next time you're watching a game, keep an eye out for this passionate group of players who are helping to shape and inspire the sport we love.
El tenis. It originated in Europe at the end of the 18th century and initially spread throughout the English-speaking countries, especially among the upper classes. Today, tennis has become globalized and practiced mainly in the West. Colombian tennis players Juan Sebastián Cabal and Robert Farah, who have attained 20 subtitles and a duo, and in 2021, these doubles tennis players won the U.S. Open and Wimbledon.
Game, set, and match.
It's a grand slam double for Cabal and Farah.
2 sets to love, 6-4.
First win with them now, the U.S. Open. What a moment for these two. They'll remember this night, as will all of Colombia.
Well, I think a very just result, Leif, for the number one.
Cycling. Colombia has always been the country that has had the most cycling tradition, with the best triumphs in Latin America. Colombian cyclists have won 3 most important competitions in the world: Tour of France, the Giro of Italy, and La Vuelta de España.
But finally, viva Colombia! Viva Egan Bernal! Vive le Tour de France!
Una innovación pour Egan Bernal! Maillot jaune et ciel, ici de cette 19e étape.
Es simplemente increíble.
Incredible. I just said to him, just enjoy it, soak it all up, and don't worry about crying, because all real men cry.
Esto es como una droga, esto es como un vicio. Al final ganas el tour y ya estás pensando en el otro tour, en qué viene más, ¿no? Uno como ciclista siempre va a querer un poquito más.
Thanks for watching us, and see you next time in the closing celebration on Friday, October 15th, 2021. Hasta pronto!